Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and get ready for yet another Reality Rants via Red Voice Media. Second hour exclusively at the Premium Zone, and I can tell you right now, this show is gonna supercalifragilagia take you places you didn't think we were gonna go. I didn't think we were gonna go to until this morning, because I started to look further into Nancy Gate. That's what I'm going to be calling it. We're not going to call it Mystery Hammer or My Friend Dave, but you say he's just a friend. Oh, you say he's just a friend. Don't need to get into any of that, because when I'm doing my research this morning, I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, this is bad. And it's not even the fact that Epstein or Epstein is trending right now because, oh, the camera's malfunctioned. It's weird that now that these people have tools at their disposal that have been around forever, right? Oh, missing this, destroyed that, malfunctioning, whatever. But appeal and malfunction, it's just like, they continually treat us like children, and now it's at an accelerated level, okay? Getting back to this story and how wild it's going to become, we're going to go to the court case. By the way, this person is now facing attempted murder charges. This David, they say he's just a friend guy. And like a lot of things, I don't jump on the bandwagon right away. I don't go out and break out the jump to conclusions mat, especially on stuff like this, right? Because what does the media do? The mainstream media? They jump all over it. And they get the story way, way wrong. And these talking points that have been out there for some time, that the Homeland Security needs to stop white supremacists, and that American citizens they've been radicalized by the QAnon nonsense and Donnie T. Right? And they're the biggest threat to the homeland. The homeland, the Deutschland. You are the threat. Okay? With all that, and we're going to go over the Intercept story as well today. I'm watching these people, and they just, where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? It's like all of a sudden this guy, and he looks a lot like Jack Nicholson from The Shining. Jack Nicholson, a little bit slimmer. When you see a side profile of this guy, he's rather portly, pear-shaped, if you will. I'm far from perfect, but we got to point that out. He's no Nicholson in his prime. And The Shining, a lot going on in that film. We talked about Kubrick yesterday when we talked about Dr. Strangelove and Herman Kahn. By the way, if you didn't get to see the second hour premium style with Johnny Vedmore, you missed out. You missed out. Links are down below. Please consider spending $1 for that first month and then coming over. And if not, at least go listen to it, because I'll say this. Normally during the show, as you know, we go to the articles, we go to the videos. I'm going to make sure we don't make the same mistake today, but when we went over to premium, XSplit froze, but it was still broadcasting. So I didn't want to kick everybody out of the broadcast and come back after the crash, so we just kind of rolled with it. And you're always going to be able to get the audio on Podbean. Always. Live and then after the fact archive. But you want the video, the good stuff where you can actually see the documents for yourself, and we're going to be showing a lot of those documents. In particular, the MIAC reports and these other Fusion Center documents that show you that this thing with DOJ and big tech, yeah, it's a big story. It's not just the Biden administration. It was the Trump administration as well, and it was going on well before this on micro levels. Now it's just being legitimized, and they're rolling out false whistleblowers, right? So now you have a system where it's open collusion season with big government and big tech. It's the definition of fascism. They're always trying to twist fascism, right, into some racial thing. And there may be aspects of that in some sorts of fascism, but Mussolini was really the fascist, right? He was the dude. And we've already lived in a techno-fascist society in this country for some time. Now it's out of control. Now they're just showing it to you and laughing about it. and saying, well, they have their free speech. They're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. That makes the big... Once you're a publicly traded company, that makes the big difference. All sorts of weird protections that the government doesn't have, yet they collude behind the scenes, and have been. And it does seem that they are also colluding on this case. And boy, people are not going to be ready for the curveball that I discovered this morning. And I should have realized it earlier, skimming through certain articles, right? But I was too busy going through CNN and ABC and CNBC and all these mainline shows. Where's Nancy? We got to turn down the heat. These ultra MAGA conspiracy theorist QAnon censors, they've done it. They're the bad guys. They're to blame here. And by the way, I would assume that this guy was into all sorts of, let's just say, alternative information for a number of reasons, especially the curveball we're going to go over in a minute. But you would have to be naive and absurd and believe that Epstein tried to kill himself twice, second time successful. Both times cameras don't work. You have to believe those type of things to see that all the body cam footage and all the other footage of all the other cameras that were there. And by the way, neighbors are saying, there's been broken windows at that house and small things. And right away, boom, 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 security. Boom, 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 boom. Not this time. Nope. U.S. Capitol Police officers weren't watching live home security cameras when Paul Pelosi was attacked. House Speaker Nancy wasn't in San Francisco at the time of the incident. You don't say. You don't say. And, I mean, they were pouring it on hard. I haven't watched Real Time with Bill Maher on Saturday yet. Okay? I should. I really wonder what Maher and whatever gang he had on had to say about it. Because if he doesn't come out this, I think it's usually on Saturday nights, this Saturday night, and say, hey, we were hoaxed again. Hey, we were lied to again by the mainstream media that has no consequences whatsoever. And will they ask Nancy Pelosi the tough questions? Of course not. They were all geared up to have fear-mongering puff pieces demonizing the American people sitting down with Nancy and asking staged questions and having her AOC everybody. They were ready for that. And then all of a sudden, I don't know who he is, apparently, according to the 911 call, but he's a friend, and his name is David. And look at that. His name's David. Looks like we got some correct information, right? We got a little correct information on that 911 phone call where you can hear the police officer relay that info, right? Meanwhile, if you watch my video from last night, then you'll know that the FBI, the good people at the FBI and the Department of Justice and in law enforcement, they're good people. They're great. They're held to a higher standard. Those good people want 66 years before they release the Seth Rich laptop information. What does that tell you? Why don't you go watch my video on that? Went over it big time, pig time last night. You know, and honestly, even though we went over it more than the mainstream media will ever touch it and did just cursory research, right? It's still miles and miles and miles better than what you're going to see via Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. They're all flavors of the same narrative, right? Except for their opposing flavors, right? Again, with this big DOJ story and big tech, Biden administration. Biden don't run nothing. Again, he has the runs. That's what's going on. He's the poopy pants zombie J puppet show. Okay, so Biden doesn't run anything at all. Nothing. Zip, zilch. They get him out there, barely read off a prompter, signs things. That's what he does. That's it. If he's awake over 12 hours a day, I'd be shocked. And I think 12's pushing it. I mean, 14 would really be pushing it. But again, we live in the post-truth world. We're supposed to believe that that guy runs things. He doesn't run anything. Nada, zip, zilch. Okay? And so let's delve into this. Let's get into it. I want to, it's a lot here. A lot to unpack, okay? Paul Pelosi attacker. Oh, it's an attacker now. Remember that they were saying that this guy was just off the street, and there's all sorts of, he was homeless. It looks like that is the case, especially with the crowd he was hanging with. I saw quote unquote neighbors talking about everybody that was staying at the house, and they're all very bizarre and weird. I'm now doing a little cursory research. I can say firsthand that is probably 100% accurate. Firsthand, I can say that's 100% accurate. I mean, you'll see why in a bit. So the attacker appears in San Francisco court with an arm and a sling, so there's a struggle there, a result of the early morning hammer struggle with the House Speaker 8-year-old husband after break-in at his home. Now, the question is really, is there a break-in here? That's the big question, because also in these media reports, another unnamed third person answered the door. An unnamed third person answered the door. Now, I've seen implications that that person may, in fact, be a minor. I don't know that. I have no clue. I don't know whether that person is male or female. Okay? I have no idea. None. So that adds to the aspect of this. And now all these are, they're going with conspiracy theories. And Elon Musk, the king of Twitter, all hail Lord Elon, apparently put out this tweet to Hillary Clinton when Hillary was putting out this where's Nancy narrative, where's Nancy? And so he's a hero again, right? Daring to question it. Apparently Trump, we're going to show you this article, also starting to question it, and that's not allowed. Okay, that's not allowed either. Oh, Mork, he's leaning into the conspiracy theories. Well, we'll see about that. Okay, so DePape 42, the man accused of attacking Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer, appeared in court on Tuesday afternoon. Okay, formerly charged with attempted murder and a slew of other offenses. So let's read some of this because I think it's important, and then I'm going to show you a picture that just set off everything for me. And I was like, whoa. By the way, not even 100 likes. Get the likes up. Let's get those thumbs up, guys. Paul Pelosi's alleged hammer attacker, David DePape, was formally charged with attempted murder in court in San Francisco Tuesday afternoon. Hulking DePape. Oh, he's hulking. Again, the guy, when I show you this picture, he looks like a pear. He may be like a big oafish dude. I don't know. Hulking DePape wore a prison-issue orange sweatshirt and sweatpants for the brief hearing and had his right arm and strapped up in a sling. Said to be the result of last Friday's early morning struggle. Oh, wait, we only get a court picture? Are we going to get like a where's Ghislaine? And by the way, people are thinking this guy's not going to make it. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that's another part of the Epstein trending thing. And for those that don't think that Ghislaine Maxwell went to trial, she went to trial, had people on the scene in New York attend the trial, report on it firsthand, say there's no pictures of her. Daily Mail's posted pictures of her. In fact, posted pictures of her this week running at the prison. Apparently, from what they're reporting, she likes softball. Okay, you can't fall for every meme out there and purposeful disinfo that then discredits you. Just want to put that out there. His shoulder-length hair was visibly graying and appeared unkempt and greasy. Really? Unkempt and greasy. These are the important things, Daily Mail. This is a big piece. I guess you can soup it up. DePape is facing 6 counts in total, which include residential burglary, false imprisonment of an elder, and assault with a deadly weapon, and pleaded not guilty to all 6 via his lawyer, public defender Alan Lipson. So, number one, it's going to be hard in court to believe anything this guy says, because I'm sure that he has a rap sheet and a record way long. And then when you see who he's associated with, mainly this Gypsy Taub person, which we're about to get into, that does not bode well, in my opinion. So this is where it gets weird for me. Okay, so I'm coming down here. I'm looking at some of the pictures, right? I'm like, I want to see a picture of DePape himself. And so I believe we get to, obviously, the one everybody's seen. But there's another one right here. There's DePape. Hulking. He's hulking. No, he's pear-shaped. And I see the person in the weird bridal dress here. And him filming that. Okay. Uh-oh. Gypsy Tob. I haven't seen or talked to Gypsy in probably a decade and a half. Probably in that 2006 and 2007 range. When myself and Dylan and Corey, loose change guys as we were known then, were traveling around and we were speaking about the film and doing screenings. And often we would do these screenings and we would stay at whoever was hosting them house, you know. Everybody thinks that, you know, we've making millions and out on the road and just bling, bling, bling. And no, for the most part, we covered a lot of our own expenses. We slept on couches and in spare bedrooms and guest rooms, etc. So I had no contact with this woman. I believe we were going to California. I'm almost sure it was in California, especially now. And I mean, I assume, I think it was probably Corey and maybe Dylan who were in touch with Gypsy Tob, and they were putting on a screening, and Tob was a part of it. All right, now, in the article, they talk about Gypsy Tob having convicted of a sexual assault charge in 2021, where apparently she was trying to date her son's friend, her teenage son's friend, who was like 14. I remember being there, and there was an infant. I believe it was maybe this person, by the way, because it's that long ago. Because they were convicted in 2021. That would be about the math. And I just remember we were supposed to stay there, and we walked in, and it was just like one of those, you know, horrific smells. And just chaos everywhere in this residence. Just chaos everywhere. It was just weird. There's some guy there. Just a weird, dark scene. So much so that, like, immediately after the small talk and what we were going to do tomorrow, and, like, she was going to show us to the rooms or whatever, Corey was like, oh, no, we're going to get a hotel. No, thank you, blah, 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 blah. And we left. And I remember at the time, Tob was, like, telling us about a photo shoot. And, you know, again, I'm going to go to this picture so everybody can just take a look. And and this is this guy's ex-boyfriend, by the way. Okay, that's who we're talking about. This the ex-boyfriend of the guy who's now being charged with murder. So she dated with this guy. She says that he's mentally ill. I have no doubts about that. Dated Gypsy Tob. Said he was Jesus or thought he was Jesus for like a year. No doubts about that. Feel like it's not a surprise Tob was convicted of this. Because this photo shoot they were talking about was basically Gypsy taking like a flag, an American flag about this big with the pole, and shoving it in various orifices and taking pictures with it. Not something I would do, okay? So I actually, because I'm me, I saw this and then I read the article and I'm like, oh my God, Gypsy Tob is involved in this. And I took the picture and I sent it over to Dylan, and Dylan is like, it's way too early in the morning for any of this. And I will agree. I'm saying, I mean, he's on East Coast time. I probably sent it to him around 7:30 their time, about an hour ago. And he just didn't want to even look at it. And I just thought to myself, wow, this is wild. Now, in the article, it also talks about Tob, you know, being involved in QAnon and anti-Semitic conspiracy. There it is, Oxane Gypsy Tob, who was convicted in 2021 of trying to kidnap a 14-year-old boy. It's also a longtime nudist activist. She says during the 2 decades with DePape. So again, that these guys, I mean, who knows? I'm not saying I met DePape at any point, but if they were together for 2 decades, you know, this was a 9/11 event. It possibly met this guy. I have no clue. I can tell you I met Gypsy. All right. Her 2 decades with DePape, she saw him transform following a disappearance of more than a year. He came back in very bad shape. He thought he was Jesus. He was just constantly paranoid, thinking people were after him. You know, he is mentally ill. He has been mentally ill for a long time. And by the way, this is the complaint. You can read the whole court case here. This is 2:30 in the morning. When they say early morning, what I'm thinking is, no. This is a late night fiasco. All right? Big time late night fiasco. He's saying he's not guilty. I'm not sure there was even a break-in. I mean, why would everybody be in their underwear? Just very, very bizarre. Okay? So they're saying this is the story. On Friday, DePape walked into a bedroom of the $6 million San Francisco home just before 3 a.m. on Friday, woke Paul Pelosi up, and said he would wait for his wife to get home. Where's Nancy? He told investigators he wanted to kneecap her if she lied to him, so she would have to be wheeled into Congress, showing other members there were consequences to actions. So they're still playing up the political angle. I do want to put that out there. I think that's important. The shocking new details were unveiled as DePape was slapped with federal charges, included attempted kidnapping, and as a new Fox News report suggested, he was in the U.S. illegally from Canada. Bump, because we don't really have immigration. Probably here for decades. I mean, DePape's 42. Is this guy a father to one of Tobbs' children? I don't know. I don't know that even matters, obviously. But who's the third person? Because it suggested there's a third person there. His name is David, and he's just a friend. We don't get to know that. We're the peasant class. We're the serf class. That's how they look at us. We don't deserve to know. All right? Pelosi had been asleep when DePape entered his bedroom and demanded to talk to Nancy. Oh. By the way, FBI is involved. Officers told the men to drop the hammer when they were in there. It's just crazy, okay? And they arrived 2 minutes after the police call, by the way. You think you're getting that? You think you're getting 2 minutes if you call for an emergency? Paul Pelosi did. Just saying. Okay, so officers told the men to drop the hammer. DePape then gained control of it and swung it at Pelosi's head before he was arrested as Pelosi lay unconscious on the ground. So another weird thing about this is apparently if we got to see the body cam footage that apparently doesn't exist anymore or didn't exist ever, we'd be seeing a couple guys in their underwear, okay, and no one's hurt yet, and they enter, and DePape gets a hold of the hammer and then knocks him in the head with it. Pelosi had been asleep when DePape entered his bedroom and demanded to talk to Nancy. Where's Nancy? It's an intruder. Pelosi told the intruder his wife was not there and would not be there for several days, and DePape said he would wait. So, look, who knows where we're going with this? He's in an intensive care unit. He's recovering from a skull fracture. He's surrounded by family and friends, but no one has asked Nancy any of the real questions now. And the insanity of this case, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So, when we talk about the insanity and censorship of that case, and we talk about the Epstein case, right? You look at this, and more revelations. We've got a woman here who's 22, or I'm sorry, during her time being abused by the wealthy pedophile at the age of 22, which a lawsuit revealed was where he'd keep girls as young as 13. So this person's actually 42 now, and basically discussing, there's a bunch of yogurt. Isn't that nice? Dan and yogurt on tap, and all sorts of things for all these girls that were in and out throughout this. I mean, we've barely scratched the surface on the amount of victims that were put through the Epstein ringer. I want to make that extremely clear. It's one of the reasons that we continue to talk about it. Forget about the client list. That's a meme. That's a talking point. They have hard drives. All right? They have burned discs. They have binders this thick that were all presented in court. all presented in court, but they were blacked out, and the actual evidence wasn't even there. They have photographs inside the establishments, right, where they also have a safe that they cracked, and some of the photographs are blacked out. Do you think that's because they want to help the victims? Come on now. Don't give me that Johnny nonsense. That's some Johnny nonsense, okay? So, I want to go over this story. FBI official, because we love the FBI here, because they're the best. Love the FBI. By the way, 324 watching this morning. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get them to 200. And remember, top of the hour, we go premium over at Red Voice Media, where you can actually call in via the app over at Podbean. So if you don't want to come over to the paid juncture, only $1 to start for the month, you can still listen for free on Podbean, and you can also call in and you can let me know what you think of today's stories or anything else we've covered over here recently. FBI official tied to Hunter Biden censorship warned media must be held accountable. Oh, they actually name some of these FBI agents in this. Finally, and they cite the new Intercept story of the collusion between Homeland Security and the Department of Justice and the FBI, right? And what they highlight here is that you had a bunch of scum, all right, a ton of scum in my opinion, as intelligence officials and authoritative sources, bastions of truth, people that really, they love our country so much. They're fighting for democracy. They love our constitutional republic. And they all said what? Oh, it's Russian disinfo. In the talks with Facebook prior to the suppression of the Post reporting on the Hunter laptop, Demlo was accompanied by Elvis Chan, an FBI agent in San Francisco's field office. So I like that we got to find out about Elvis Chan. Oh, the billionaire tech titan said the FBI, this is on Rogan, we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, Mark, that's the talking point they made you regurgitate after you actually said that you didn't feel like the platform had anything to do with swaying the election and that people can make their own choices, and you soon changed your tune. All right? We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. Oh! First of all, he's telling you part of the story. You know, immediately those intelligence officers were put into touch with the censors at Facebook. And if you don't think that they told them straight up that the Hunter Biden thing was Russian disinfo and that you couldn't spread, give me a break. Give me a break. They didn't even do it mafioso style where they come in and say, oh, we need a protection fee so your business doesn't burn down. They didn't even do it that way. After the Post published its exclusive report on Hunter Biden, 51 former U.S. intelligence officials, including former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, total scumbag. CIA Director Mike Hayden, total scumbag. We played some Mike Hayden earlier in the week or last week. Mike Hayden lied in government hearings saying that we weren't being spied on. And when I say we, I'm talking about the American people. We weren't being tracked, traced, and database. He laughs about the fact that we kill people based on metadata, but that's not what we do with the metadata we steal from you. That's beyond metadata. Leon Panetta, another total piece of work. Not a fan of Leon Panetta. And then John Brennan. Again, last night, if you watched my Seth Rich piece, this whole Russian intelligence, Russian interference, Russia, Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, Russia narrative, that's a Brennan op, according to Seymour Hersh. John Brennan, another terrible person. They all signed on to this disclosure that has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. See, they always have their Bernaysian talking points. They lean into their own misinformation and disinformation so it can be regurgitated by people making 6 to 7 figures by wearing makeup, putting on a suit, and reading off a prompter. Okay? So then later on, well, that's what it did have all the classic earmarks. We couldn't definitively say we did that. You know what you did. You know what you did. You know what you did. Again, you go back to the Mueller report, and what did they do? They went after the Seth Rich story. They said it's all conspiracy theories perpetrated by WikiLeaks and Assange to deflect the fact that it's Russia. And then they want to classify the laptop for 66 years. Not even the JFK documents did they request 66 years. Now, they keep postponing it, right? But they only asked for 50 for an assassination of a president. And yet, Seth Rich, who apparently just somebody that was unlucky, had nothing to do with nothing, they don't want to reveal his laptop info for 66 years. And the Ministry of Truth is out there censoring people on social media platforms if you say otherwise. Awesome. So I got this clip, which I think is pretty important here in the post-truth world, okay? And this is Steny Hoyer, another real piece of work, long-time puppet in office, talking about, remember, first they tell you things like the deep state don't exist. There is no deep state. And the deep state, deep politics, that whole terminology comes out of Peter Dale Scott, okay? Post-Kennedy assassination, post-Vietnam era. That's where really the terminology comes from. And these events that have so much more for you to look into, something like the Iran-Contra scandal, right? Deep events, deep politics, deep state. Now, for years and years and years, that doesn't exist. That's kooky talk, Jason. That's what, please, Jason, that's nutty. That's nutskaruski. And now, not only does it exist, according to Steny Hoyer, but we better damn well be happy it exists, because it's the best thing since breakfast.
Employees. That's what the previous president suggested. That's what his supporters are suggesting now. And they're suggesting not only that, but they're going to put people in place who want to follow their political edicts, legal or not.
This whole legal or not, first of all, just because something's legal doesn't mean it's morally right, doesn't mean it's morally just, doesn't mean it's not necessarily evil, doesn't mean it's not there to enslave humanity instead of protect and empower it. It just means that it's legal. Some of the biggest atrocities in human history have been committed, and they were legal at the time. Oh, I got a little Texty and Hutch from my baby watching the show, the morning show. Shout out to the prettiest lady in all the land, Alicia Powell, and great Gateway pundit reporter and Red Voice Media contributor. She's got a great premium show. Another great reason to spend that dollar right now in the links down below. redvoicemedia.net/Jason. I think redvoicemedia.com/Jason. redvoicemedia.com/Bermas. And you'll get that second hour. All right? You'll get that second hour. So first they deny it's a thing. And then they say we need it. It's great. Even though what? It's bad news brown for the rest of us. And they'll demonize the American public, right? Homeland Security needs to look at these domestic terrorists. Because legal or not, they want these things done. Do you think that the deep state, the CIA, the NSA, and every other intelligence apparatus out there, the signature reduction program, those guys are within the context of the law of you and me? No, they're in the context of the law with every loophole and every classification status, and something like a Nancy Pelosi event where all of a sudden the cameras magically don't work and no one's allowed to question it. Steny.
They made it quite clear. They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President.
Let me just stop that right there. That is not what they are. Did you just listen to that? Now it's a thing. And they can describe it. No. That would be regular law enforcement. That should be beholden to all those things, right? To serve and protect. That is not what the military-industrial complex is whatsoever. Instead, it is an executive within the executive that has powers of continuity of government and itemized, compartmentalized programs that are born classified and even out of the reach of the quote-unquote commander-in-chief, the President of the United States. We're going to roll it back. We're going to let Steny again tell you now the new definition of the deep state, which didn't exist before, and how it's the best thing since breakfast. And if now you question that, you obviously hate this country because this is a cadre of the best people. This is a cadre of people that care about the Constitution. Guys, can we get 200 thumbs up with 344 people watching over on the tube? Let's do it. Let's bring it back to Sten. Bring it back a little bit more. The deep state.
The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. By the way, it is the Congress that makes policy under the Constitution, under Article 1.
And guess what? Now, when they do make policy, it's often terrible, right? Patriot Act, Homeland Security really coming to roost. But then you have these executive orders that go outside of the Congress. We saw that during the last 2.5 years. All right. And then we also have the idea that we can just bomb and control any other nation out there with our military without, the Congress declaring war like they used to have to do. Steny Hoyer. I mean, again, talk about a mouthpiece for the establishment. This is the guy.
It is the executive that carries out policies. Now, presidents of both parties.
So we got a little extra there, but let's just show you this. What, I have that on the repeat? I must have had it on the repeat. Look at that. Trump joins conspiracists stoking doubts about the Pelosi attack. The former president suggested on Tuesday that it wasn't a break-in. Authorities have been clear it was. So let's see all the cameras. Shouldn't we at least have CCTV camera footage that isn't just all the cameras around Pelosi's house, but in the run-up to the attack, and maybe street footage of this person breaking in? Shouldn't we have all that? Shouldn't we have the body cam footage? Huh? Shouldn't we not have a weird nudist guy with a questionable history in his underwear in a bedroom with another guy in his underwear? It just seemed pretty weird. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an underwear sleeper. I'm a boxer briefs gentleman. But I just don't envision a scenario where it's hammer time in my house because I have a break-in. Where's Nancy? And Trump's just not allowed to ask questions about that. We're not allowed to ask questions about what? About the Hunter laptop or what's on it. Nope. Just not allowed to do it. Okay? So I want to go over this. It's Truth Cops. Leaked documents outline DH's plan to police disinformation. That's where we're going to go in a minute. But I want to play a clip of, I believe it's the 2008. It's not the 2004. The 2008 presidential primary debates where Ron Paul lays it out, because it's not just Homeland Security. It's not just the CIA. It's the entire system. It needs to go. It needs to go. And I've always said this. If we had an honest media and they were covering the types of things that people cared about even then, before anybody was talking about fake news and there were no fact checkers, it was just the debunkers, it was something they scoffed at, right? During this time period, You had Ron Paul saying he was going to abolish the IRS. If the media had said, hey, by the way, this guy has some pretty decent ideas. He's anti-war. He's small government. And he wants to get rid of the IRS. Most Americans, Democrat, Republican, wouldn't have mattered. Would have been like, wait, he wants to get rid of the IRS? No more federal income tax? Whoa! Yeah! Woo-hoo-hoo! Sign me up. Sign me up. That's not a message they ever amplified. What messages did they amplify then? He's a closet racist. That was a huge attack on him. They went back to his newsletters and people that were writing for those newsletters and anything that they could point out to make Ron Paul into the white supremacist, right? And a part of the white supremacy movement. And even the mainstream guys over in, whatchamacallit, over in, I'm trying to think here, over in Fox News especially, like the Hannitys of the world, they were calling them Paul-tards. Paul-tards. Remember that, Sean? I remember. Jason Bermas remembers. Jason Bermas doesn't forget. And why should I forget? Right? Shouldn't forget. I remember you attacked Ron Paul. You had an opportunity then to, again, amplify a viewpoint that was not only legitimate, but could have helped save this country. Instead, we got the complete opposite. We could have had a system where we shut down large portions of the deep state. We got rid of black sites like Abu Ghraib, right? Guantanamo Bay. Could have actually got rid of them. Not just the rhetoric of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Richardson and Edwards and Joe Biden, amongst others, during that same presidential cycle in 2008. They were going to shut it all down, never shut it down. He would have shut it down. He would have stopped the IRS from armed agents. 66,000 new armed agents. You see that I want to say it's a commercial, but that video of the new recruits. And again, it's an exercise in humiliation to the rest of us. That's all it is. We're in charge. You're not. We live in a post-truth world. You will bend the knee and you will pay the toll. Doesn't matter if it's taxation without representation, which I would argue in large part we have. All right. That's what say do we get on any of this CBDC nonsense or infrastructure bill, which is really the Green New Deal, which is really carbon credits in a social credit score of global control over pseudo government agencies that are mouthpieces for a predator class agenda of sustainability and productivity improvement, which means your standard of living plummeting, while automation and robots come in. All while we hail the Musker nuts, by the way. The old Musker nuts, who literally was in a Baphomet outfit on Halloween. Everybody loves Elon. By the way, Clay Clark right there. There it is. He's got a nice big, there's his mom. And I don't know if that's who that is next to him, whether it's his sister or girlfriend or somebody else. But there it is, the nice Baphomet Antichrist symbol. This will go big with the crowd that says the Musker Nuts is the Antichrist. Now, I'm not saying any of that, but I'm not saying he's a good guy at all. And I'm not saying that this says much either, but all you right-wingers and Christian conservatives that think that this guy's going to save you when he's pushing the same exact agenda of climate change, command control, CBDC, track trace database, Internet of Bodies, Neuralink. He's involved in Starlink and SpaceX and the Ukraine conflict, all that stuff. This is the guy. Yeah. No, he's the Terminator, Jason. He's the Musker Nuts. He's saving us all. Let me show you a guy that may not have been able to save the world, but he was certainly headed in the right direction. And that man, folks, is Ron Paul.
Your answer is to cut both taxes and spending. You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, DHS. Look at that. It's fate. I love it. That's a serious. You're damn right. You're damn right I would. You're damn right. CIA, IRS, Homeland Security, you're out of here. You're gone. See you later. Look at that. Oh, man, I love Ron Paul. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Your answer is to cut both taxes and spending. You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security.
Get the Fed out. Get the Fed out. I want the United Nations out of the United States, and I want us out of the UN.
Medicare. I know that you used to want to end the FBI. I'm not sure whether you still support that idea, sir.
I sure do. I sure do when they tell you, again, that the cameras magically didn't work. Oh, at Metro in New York City, where they held El Chapo. Oh, where they didn't have another suicide for 13 years prior to Epstein, the most high-profile guy they could have possibly had there. Oh, you want to end all that? You want to end? My boy, my man. You know, his son does some good things. His son was one of the only people taking out the Faucian nonsense. But Ron Paul was and is the man. He's the man. All right? By the way, 400 people watching. Can we get 300 thumbs up? We only got about 14 minutes left, guys, and then we're going over to RVM exclusively. The links are down below, premium style. You can also come to the Podbean, listen to the broadcast, and call in. We're going to take callers. So get your questions in. It might take a second to connect. And also remember that we don't want to hear feedback. So if you are watching the show as well as listening to the show, make sure to turn down the show. But man, I almost want to roll it back again. But let's get to Ron Paul and him laying it down.
Perhaps you can tell us, but if you get rid of the CIA, let alone the FBI, how would President Paul have any idea, any intelligence of what our enemies, foreign and domestic, are up to?
Well, you might ask a better question. Before 9/11, we were spending $40 billion a year, and the FBI was producing numerous information about people being trained on airplanes to fly them but not land them.
The FBI had two of the hijackers living with and renting from one of their high-level informants. The FBI, under Robert Mueller, covered up the money movements that were already being documented via the program Vulgar Betrayal. All right? I love Dan Dix. I love Press for Truth. There's a documentary series out there called, not series, it's just a film, from way back in the day called Press for Truth, that essentially highlights the FBI and these individuals, including Robert Wright, that blew the whistle, that they were trying to stop all this from happening prior to 9/11, and they were shut down by the higher-ups at the FBI. Listen to Paul. He's telling you, we're spending more money than anybody. We couldn't stop 9/11. Doesn't make a lot of sense. CIA gets a phone call, and this is what we know about, prior to 9/11, on Waleed al-Shari, yet another one of these hijackers, by a neighbor called Deborah Albright. All right? Now, Deborah Albright is sitting there, and she's not calling the cops. She's calling the CIA because something's very wrong in the neighborhood. Nope, we're not going to do nothing. Nope, not going to do nothing.
And they totally ignored him. So it's the inefficiency of the bureaucracy that is the problem. So increasing this with the Department of Homeland Security and spending more money doesn't solve the problem. Yes, we have every right in the world to know something about intelligence gathering, but we have to have intelligent people interpreting this information.
Thing is, we have super intelligent people that are interpreting this information, especially at the top levels. You have compartmentalization. It's a great one-shot season. They didn't renew it for a second. A show called Crossing the Rubicon, where in a moment we're going to move into the fusion centers, the DOJ, Homeland Security, signature reduction, the MIAC reports, and all these other things. And it was about one of these fusion style centers that was like pseudo-intelligence that was basically, again, it was Middle Eastern stuff, but as some of these analysts started looking further into this. They realized there was something very wrong with what was going on. And that's because at the top of these compartmentalized programs, what? You have a system where they are working both sides, and they're actually, in many cases, funding the quote-unquote terrorists or making things happen. That's why an invisible empire, a new world order defined, when we talk about the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, we talk about the FBI, what happened there? The FBI's informant, Ahmed Salam, okay, who's an ex-Egyptian army officer and started getting suspicious of his FBI handlers, including John Antisev, who he recorded phone calls of because of the situation, was made to make the bomb that went off in the World Trade Center. Let me repeat that. Was made to make the bomb that went off in the World Trade Center, because without the FBI, that bomb can't be made. Okay? Because the guys that they want to do it can't do it. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources. They don't have the know-how. But the FBI's guy did. And it's an invisible empire. We've played it a ton of times here. Maybe we should play it right after Paul, if I can ring it up so everybody can understand how the FBI actually works. Okay, they built the bomb. And then he thought he was going to be a patsy. So he gets Anisev on audio admitting they built the bomb. How many times have you heard that in the mainstream media? Any news organization that in 1993, it was the FBI informant they hired with FBI supervision that built the bomb. Wow. Wow. So let's let Paul finish up here.
But, you know, just going for increasing presidential powers, as been discussed, is rather disturbing to me. This whole idea that we're supposed to sacrifice liberty for security, we were advised against that. Don't we remember that when you sacrifice liberty for security, you lose both? That's what's happening in this country today. We have a national ID card on our doorsteps. It's being implemented right now. We have FISA courts. We have warrantless searches. We've lost habeas corpus. We've had secret prisons around the world, and we have torture going on. That's un-American, and we need to use the power of the presidency to get it back in order to take care of us and protect this country and our liberties.
Thank you, Congress.
Can you imagine if the media, right or left, got behind that guy, told you the truth about that guy? Can you imagine if they didn't distort his message and try to destroy him as a person? I can imagine that world be a much nicer one, okay? So let's see if we can bring it up. That's always an important thing in these films. It's a long film. Let's see, that's Diana. That's the OKC bombing. Let's get over here. We do it live as I gulp down my coffee. OKC, here we go. We're right here, and I think we're right at the point where you're going to be able to hear, all right? You're going to be able to hear the audio, and you're going to be able to see the CBS piece.
He became suspicious and began taping his conversations with FBI officials.
Last winter, the FBI was praised for its speed in cracking the case of the World Trade Center bombing and bringing 4 suspects to trial. Now, there is some evidence that the FBI may have known of the plot in advance through an informant and might even have stopped the bombing that killed 6 people.
Notice the media emphasizes that they might have been able to stop it. They then gloss over the fact that the bomb was built by their agent under FBI supervision in conjunction with the district attorney.
So this is as far as it goes with mainstream media. And they don't make it the story, what I just said, but they'll admit it to you right now. They'll say, and we thought about using harmless material instead of bomb material. Really? You thought when you made the bomb? Wow. Huh.
FBI agents might have been able to prevent last February's deadly explosion at New York's World Trade Center. They discussed secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosives, but they didn't.
They secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosion. May have been able to stop it. You built the bomb. You built the bomb.
according to the FBI's own informant, Imad Salem. Unbeknownst to the FBI at the time, Salem recorded many of his conversations with his handlers.
The actual recording where Salam discusses this with his FBI handler John Antisev was released years after the trial.
You got paid regularly for good information. I mean, the expenses were a little bit out of the ordinary, and it was really questioned. Don't tell Nancy I told you this.
Well, I have to tell her, of course.
Well, then if you have to, you have to.
Yeah, because, I mean, the lady was being honest, and I was being honest, and everything was submitted with a receipt.
Yeah.
And now it's questionable.
It's not questionable. It's like a little out of ordinary.
Okay.
You know.
All right. I don't think it was. If that's what you think, guys, fine. But I don't think that, because we was start already building the bomb, which is went off in the World Trade Center. It was built by supervision from the Bureau and the GA, and we was all informed about it, and we know that the bomb start to be built. By who? By your confidential informant. What a wonderful, great case.
What a wonderful, great case. DA knew too. Gee, maybe we shouldn't have an FBI. This is 1995 or 93. 93. Almost 30 years ago. That's how dirty they are and were. This is the reality, okay? So over the next hour, we are going to be hitting some of these MIAC reports, all right? I think that's a big deal, something that's really decades old at this point, yet never got its due. Outlets like InfoWars are some of the only ones that ever covered it. So we're going to go over this modern militia movement, and we got another document right here, because I want people to know that it's not just white supremacy. If they can label you a black supremacist or an extremist in any way, shape, or form, that's what this is really about. It's the same command and control system, okay? And these are the Fusion Center guidelines, because, as I continue to tell people, we live in a post-truth world. In a post-truth world where we have a secret undercover military program, which has only been really discussed or explored in this article by the mainstream, period. That's it. This is the only outlet that's done it. Let me just read the first paragraph of this, because it's so important. And this is minuscule compared to the technologies that they're using. The largest undercover force the world has ever known is the one created by the Pentagon over the past decade. The world has ever known undercover. Some 60,000 people now belong to this secret army, many working under masked identities and in low profile. All part of a broad program called signature reduction. Signature reduction. Signature reduction. Not even official. It's an art form. That's why it's in quotations. The force, more than 10 times the size of the clandestine elements of the CIA, carries out domestic, that means here. Domestic means here. And foreign assignments, both in military uniform and under civilian cover. Really, in real life and online, bot armies, you better believe it. But it's Russia! Russia and the bots! Sometimes hiding in private businesses and consultancies, some of them household names. When you scroll down and you look at some of the tools they utilize, I just keep going back to this one because it's so wild. You're looking at a skin glove, all right, a skin glove. So it slips over your skin. It can have anybody's biometric information on it, and it emits human oils. Not science fiction, not Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible movie, reality sauce. What's been used now, perhaps over a decade. We don't really know, because we barely have journalists in this country and around the world. Why? Well, when you come out with these type of stories, I'll give Fox News credit. At least they're the ones reporting this. That, oh, you did collude, but it's under this guise that it's the Biden administration. I'm about to show you it's far from just the Biden administration. So we are in the final minute of the free portion of the broadcast. We're going over to Red Voice Media exclusively. It's down below. That's how you're going to be able to watch the show, see the documents as we go over them, so it's not just my voice. If you can stand it being just my voice, I want you to check it out over at Podbean, and please consider calling in. We're going to check for calls in about 30 minutes. Red Voice Media, exclusive. Let's get 300 thumbs up over at YouTube before we make the crossover. But let's start that crossover now, producers, on the other side. And I am going to, one by one, since it crashed yesterday when I tried to do all 4 at a time, get out of the live stream. So, Rockfin, arrivederci. We will see you later, Rumble. Rumble gone. We're off the Twitter, okay? And YouTube, it's been real, but we're at Red Voice Media exclusively right now.